All right, we're here at SlatorCon London 2026. Very excited to speak to Gabriel Fairman today, CEO of wxrks. So repeat guest on this segment, and lucky to catch up again. Last time we met in Menlo Park, mid-2025. Anyway, so remind people what's wxrks, what do you guys do? You know, one of the leading LTPs, so give your story in a nutshell briefly.
Sounds good. Well, wxrks, and it's a great question because honestly, one of the things that's been really shifting is how do we define ourselves for these different kinds of frameworks and situations? Because traditionally, before you redefined us as an LTP, we used to be a translation management system. And as a translation management system, what's really interesting is that that word no longer resonates with so many of the people making decisions on our product. When I think about from what we are, from a more abstract perspective, we're really a translation management layer that can work with or without agents. So in one of the directions that we're actually taking the product is a more headless direction as well. So the idea is what wxrks does, it's a source of truth. So you can store what's going on with who, where, what, when, who needs to be paid. So it does all that business management source of truth. And it also does all of the, what we call AI augmentation bit, which is essentially making the translation process as automated or as human intervened as you'd like. So you can really, if you want to go crazy and have different agents do things with different augmentations that we have and run it entirely automatically, you can. If you want to have humans intervening, then the beauty of it is wxrks is designed to learn from every human intervention. So it is different than working directly with the model in the sense that there's an entire framework that both makes sure that the suggestions do take into account style guides, preferences, translation memories, glossaries with the appropriate degrees of relevance, and can learn from user edits and explain what's happening. So when we think about wxrks, it's really a language instrumentation and observability platform. So you can instrument everything that's happening and you can observe what's going on. So yeah, and that does change according to who we're presenting to. And for more and more people, we actually, as we present, we have to make the case as to why a translation management system is still super relevant in this day and age. So,
got it. So you recently did a rebrand. Tell us more about that.
yeah, it's kind of connected to that.
It's connected, huh?
As we began going deeper and deeper into the AI rabbit hole and we began to further our platform capabilities, we began to realize that the name wxrks, just as much as we liked it, because it's not like we disliked it, it just grew a little bit too big, a little bit too complicated, and especially the logo as well. Our previous logo was kind of boxes and meanings and bricks and just too much stuff going on. And we had created that logo originally in 2012, so it's been
a while. Had a good run.
It's good run. And we just felt that for this day and age, we needed something that was simpler, more direct. And when it took us a year actually to come up with wxrks, believe it or not, as simple as it may be, because we wanted to maintain a certain sense of continuity. We didn't want to completely depart from the brand, and we wanted something unique, but at the same time that retained something. So we put ourselves in a kind of a cumbersome challenge that we walked away with the idea of wxrks. wxrks really if you look at how we designed wxrks, the X is both two semicircles and an X as well. So you can take a look here. So it's a little bit of and if I look at it from different angles, I can actually see a half O above and below, and I can also see the X. And the idea is language is something that is inherently ambiguous, and it requires human interpretation in order to acquire meaning. So that's something that we try to keep into account. The X also for us is the idea of scaling and exponentiation of things, which I think AI enables. And we also think of the O as kind of like the original womb of the human soul. So it's kind of the container that keeps us together. And we're trying to put both of them together. So there's that symbolism behind what we're trying to do.
Got it. Thanks. So we met in, I think it was September 2025, Menlo Park, Heart Attack. Since then, what has happened for you? Top two highlights? short.
Since September 2025,
I don't know. We're gonna have to, give me the bullet points,
yeah,
like the
few
short
bullet
ones.
points.
Yeah.
One of the key things is we went live in Coca-Cola Europacific Partners with our translation portal that's used by 41,000 users, employees in Coca-Cola. And that's something huge because it redefines, in our opinion, how people interact with language. Because one of the things you were saying in your opening is how the playing field has been leveled. And what I understand, it's like there's no more barrier to entry for someone to, let's say, like you said, translate with GPT or with Cohere or with Claude or anything like that. And for us, what was interesting is we had to think about a solution that would reposition a TMS as a plausible alternative for these users, right? Because if you're let's say for instance, a salesperson at Coca-Cola Europacific Partners or a factory worker, you're not going to want to log in into a translation management system. You don't want to learn anything about translation, about source and target language. You just need things done. So we had the challenge of creating something that was fundamentally as easy to operate as a ChatGPT or something like that, but that was secure, taking into account the linguistic corpus, the preferences, the glossaries of that given account, which in this case is Coca-Cola Europacific Partners, and could also enable users to very easily request human expert intervention, because that's the key thing that I think is missing in a lot of these cases. It's like, so the portal gives you a confidence score. It tells you this translation is 83% confident, 95% confident, etc. Based on the sensitivity of the document and the confidence score, you can then decide what you want to do with that. And if you want to send to paid review, it'll route to a network of paid reviewers that will provide this, or to whatever agency of record is sitting with that given client. And it's also multimodal as well, so people can upload videos, they can download these videos, they can download them subtitled, they can generate voiceovers, text-to-speech, etc. So it was our response to this moment. So really, instead of trying to fight the accessibility, which in my opinion is a good thing, we're actually trying to take it a step further and make it more accessible, but really catered to what we believe is the enterprise translation use case. So I would say that's the main thing. And since I talked a lot about that, I'm not going to go into other things as well. But I think just one more thing that I think is really happening and is super important is our development speed is really hitting whole new heights. We've been able to incorporate AI into our development practices in a very meaningful way, with not just one, but dozens of agents that interact with each other, that can go from support ticket to requirements, that can go from requirements to planning, that can plan and execute. And we've really enabled our developers to become so much more of architects rather than just coding engineers. It's been really positive for them. They've been really enjoying it. The number of features that we've been releasing has skyrocketed, and the quality of the code was also a lot better, because the way we've built it, right, it's similar, analogously to Works. We're not trying to replace the human element, we're trying to elevate it. And it's really amazing the kinds of things that you can do when used in the right way.
Got it. All right, let's close on Outlook. Top 2-3 things that you're seeing this year. Let's not go to 27, because probably tomorrow morning something's getting launched.
Yeah, I think my outlook is probably going to go as far as this evening and maybe how many hours of sleep I can get. But I think the key thing for me is really, jokes aside, I don't know what the outlook looks like. I don't think I've ever felt more confused and lost as to what the future looks like. Because in my opinion, it's really a scenario of crisis, right? And that's that cliche that crisis in Chinese is both opportunity and risk. I don't think there's ever been a moment where that's been more applicable to our space in particular, because in fact, with the prognosis that you shared as the outlook, I see definitely the first scenario, but so I see a scenario where the technology part will grow way more than the services. I believe services are going to continue to shrink, but even the tech itself, I think, is under attack, because people are thinking about why this is relevant. So these days, you have to make the case for a content management system. You have to make the case for a translation management system. You have to make a case for people. It's no longer a given. So I think the outlook is a big question mark, and I do believe that this is the part that I think really shapes this outlook, is I think the way people behave themselves and the way they are more or less detail oriented, more or less inclined to change, I think that plays such a big factor into how things play out. And I think there's a huge inclination in our space as well. And this is maybe the key takeaway. Our space, in my opinion, has been really driven by conservatism, because the more conservative a localization manager was, the least likely they were to rock the boat, the least likely they were to have problems. Basically, if you're a localization manager that prevented your company from being embarrassed, you were doing a great job. And if you had to have a lot of people doing that, that was fine. It was like spare no cost to keep our image in a good place. And that way, that's why also localization managers or buyers would avoid changing vendors, would avoid changing tech. It was all about change avoidance, in my opinion, just incremental changes here or there, but not reshaping the wheel. And now the moment, in my opinion, is actually flipped. I think that thinking and behaving like that is actually far greater risk, because you start to become tone deaf to what management wants and expects. Management wants and expects deep changes, and it puts localization buyers in a terrible position, because now they have to make these really tough decisions of decreasing their teams, which they never want to do. They would always rather defend it. They have to switch their vendors, they have to switch their tech, they have to switch their processes. Highly uncomfortable. Human nature, in my opinion, would always rather do a radical change. Like, for instance, I'm just going to do something completely different, like dedicate myself to cooking, rather than dealing with the small changes that are full of friction. So in terms of outlook, my perspective is more grounded in what can I do and what can everybody do today to ensure a better tomorrow. And I think it's all about embracing change, being here, and being unafraid to deal with that friction.
All right. Thank you so much. Thanks,
Thank
Gabriel.
you, Florian.
Cool.